Welcome to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation, welcome back to the podcast where this week we're going to explore the tools, tactics, and strategies to help you achieve personal and business mastery. And this week we're going to focus on how do you overcome self-doubt. This is a big problem so many of us deal with, particularly high achievers, and you would think, wait, high achievers, they have self-doubt? The answer is yes, a lot more than you think. And if you're like me, you've overcome a lot of self-doubt in your life. If you've achieved any success, self-doubt is always there. It's the underlying root that just prevents a lot of us from pursuing our dreams, from completing goals. And I really want to get to the core issue of how you handle it and how you can deal with it effectively so you can become what I call a goal slayer. That's the ability to achieve any goal that you ever set and really set your life up for success moving forward into 2025. That's right. 2025 is not far away. All right, Triple P Nation, it's time for our weekly success snack. You know we never start an episode without going over our success snack. And this week, it's about how do we, find our purpose. Many of you have purpose. That's great. Some of us have lost purpose. Some of us completed purpose and are looking for a new purpose. So I've got one powerful recommendation. That's for any of you who are struggling to find your purpose. And that is focus on serving others. Sounds simple, right? What I want you to do is shift your attention from self to others. Because when you do so, it's going to offer a sense of clarity. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself this question. What problems do I care about solving for others? And how can my skills or experience help improve someone else's life? You see, by aligning your actions with a cause or community that resonates with you, you're often going to discover a deeper sense of fulfillment and more purpose. Now, there's actually science behind this, guys. There's new science that came out recently that found that people who are pursuing happy or happiness are the least happy. But people who live with purpose find happiness in their purpose. That's why living a life of purpose is so critical. Now, before I get to today's topic, it's that time of the year. It's time for our GPS to Success Summit. It will be held this year, November 8th and 9th. I'd love to cordially invite you to come and join me and my team and a group of high-achieving entrepreneurs and people who want to take their life to a whole new level. The GPS to Success Summit we've been hosting for many, many years now with incredible results. And so whether if you're trying to find that perfect mate or overcome your self-limiting beliefs or to scale and grow your business or how to set yourself up for financial freedom, get through this money mindset issue that so many of us have. We're going to cover so many of these topics during this weekend. I guarantee you it will be life-changing for you. So if you're interested, you can go to our website, powerpassionprosperity.com, go to the shop tab. When it drops down, the first link will be 2024 Summit. You can go there, get registered, bring your spouse, bring your team. It's going to be an amazing weekend, and I would love for you to join us. I'll talk more about it in future episodes. Okay, so let's get started on the self-doubt thing, because living congruently with what you value the most, which are your highest core values, is the key to mastering and feeling the deepest sense of fulfillment in your life. I know, I've experienced it, both good and positive. You see, it's also the key to dissolving any self-doubt and exponentially growing your self-worth. You see, each one of us, regardless of our age or our gender or background, culture, socioeconomic conditions, we live moment by moment by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most to least important in our lives. You see, this hierarchy of values is the fingerprint specific to each of us. And although it does evolve and change throughout our life, it's highly unlikely, in fact, that any other human being will have the exact same hierarchy of values as you do. To be similar, but not exactly the same. Now, whatever is highest on your list of values is what you're spontaneously inspired to act upon. Let me repeat that. What your highest list of values are is what you are spontaneously inspired to act upon. It's an intrinsic value, one that no one likely needs to motivate you or remind you or incentivize you to take action on. However, as you go down the list of what you value to your lower values, the more likely you're to require an extrinsic motivation to get you to take action on it. Because let's face it, they're less meaningful and less fulfilling to you. See, I like to use the analogy of a young child who loves to play soccer. Now, nobody really has to motivate them to play because it's something intrinsically that they love to do, that they are spontaneously inspired to do. So they're going to go out, they're going to practice, get their friends together, make sure mom gets them to the soccer field on time. But conversely, his parents may have to extrinsically motivate them to do their homework or to clean up their room. So in other words, if something is low on your list of values, like cleaning your room, it might require the promise of a reward or potentially fear of punishment to get you to do it or to get your child to do it. But not when it comes to spending time on a soccer field, which in this case will likely look at every possible opportunity to do it, right? Because this is something that we just are passionate for. So your unique hierarchy of values determines what you perceive, decide, and take action on. You see, in fact, every decision you make is based upon what you believe will give you the greatest advantage or disadvantage at the moment to when and what you value the most. And as such, I can likely rely on you to do whatever you believe at that moment will give you the greatest fulfillment in your highest values. That's the key. And I can trust fairly certainly, right, that you will be loyal in that area and committed to the outcome in the same way that you will likely rely on that child to spend time, the majority of their time, playing soccer. You can also rely on me, right, to be teaching you and researching for you about these kind of topics that I'm passionate about, that I want to share with you, that it can help you up-level your life. But you're not going to find me teaching you about cooking or making a new marinara sauce, which I like to do, but they're low values for me. So I'm not going to spend time here and waste your time. You can go to other shows and get that kind of information, but you get the point, right? So really to clarify this is that whenever you act in a way that is aligned and congruent with your highest values, and anytime you perceive that that action will help you fulfill your highest values, you're going to spontaneously be inspired to do it. So as you take action on it, your self-worth is going to go up and your confidence is going to increase as well because you tend to walk your talk in that area. That's congruency. However, as you go down the list of your values, you'll likely procrastinate, right? You're going to hesitate. You may even feel frustrated when you do it because you're going to not to perform so well at those tasks. And as such, you're also going to tend to depreciate yourself and lower your own value because you're not walking that talk and you're not doing what you say you're going to do. This is what undermines our self-confidence and self-worth. So anytime you set out to do something that you say is important, if it's not really that important, if it's not really truly intrinsically important, you're going to tend to procrastinate, not do well. The likely result, guys, is self-depreciation and self-doubt because your confidence in yourself and your belief right in the toilet. Your self-worth is a reflection of how congruent you're acting in alignment with your highest values. And your self-worth deteriorates as you go down your list of values. That's why it's so critical to annually review your highest priorities and your highest values. One of the things that we do at the GPS to Success Summit. If we don't have a clear understanding of our hierarchy of values, it's nearly impossible to set goals. And if you do set goals, they will likely be on the wrong targets, therefore not achieving what you want. Or if you do achieve them, they provide very little fuel for future success because it doesn't move the needle for you. Now, the way you know you're doing something high on your values is that you tend to love it, right? You feel inspired by it. And you're really grateful for the opportunity to do it. Plus, time just flies when you're doing it. You can't believe how time just seems like it stood still. In my own personal experience, many people think they know what their true value in life is, and yet often they're really not that clear as they think they are. And I've helped really thousands of people identify and determine their highest values for almost, a long time, 30 years or so. And I've come to realize that what most people perceive as being important to them and what actually is truly important to them are two different things. A key reason for this is that most people, they really project their values, or they get their values from other people that they look up to, right? They look at societal norms and traditions, other people's belief systems, their upbringings. And as a result, often we have an internal conflict between our truest, highest values and what they perceive the highest values that they should be based on how other people are living their life. In other words, they're taking other people's values, projecting them on themselves, and thinking that's what they need to do to be successful, rather than doing the work on their own, identifying what theirs are and pursuing that path. So I often say, anytime you hear yourself say, okay, hey, quote, I got to do this, or quote, I have to, or I must, or I should, or I'm supposed to, or I'm going to try, most likely one of two things are happening. One, you're doing something that's not truly most important to you. And two, you're feeling trapped by it. And the fact is, this tends to devalue you, and it results in your feeling less fulfilled. So now, not only are you acting on your highest values, but you're experiencing less happiness. Now, what you may not know is that you are designed to react that way. Yep, that's true. You see, self-doubt and self-depreciation is not weakness. Instead, guys, they are normal biological and physiological responses that occur when you do something that's not intrinsically important to you. It's your way, it's your internal check and balance system. You see, you're inauthentic when you're not doing what's on your highest values list. Whenever you do something that's low on that value list, you devalue yourself, and so will the world. And it's going to let you know. And the second you stop and reflect on what's really important to get you where you want to go, you are more likely to value yourself, have more value of the world around you, and have your self-worth increase. And as a result, your self-doubt is a biological feedback system to let you know that you're likely pursuing something that's not intrinsically important to you. Now, perhaps because you perceive that you have the must to, ought to, should to, whatever, right? That's something according to someone else outside of you, which is in your mind, some form of outer authority. When you inject the values of people outside yourself into your own life, you create what Freud called the superego, the moralizer inside of you that self-judges. Now, I don't want to get too deep on the psychology stuff of it, but I believe that a majority of autoimmune responses and illnesses are a direct result of the internal conflict emotionally that we experience, right? There's a physiological response. And once again, illness and self-doubt are valuable feedback mechanisms to let you know that you're likely not pursuing what really is truly meaningful and inspiring to you. So if you don't fill your day with your highest priority actions, it automatically fills up with what? Low priority distractions. Low priority distractions are there to get you frustrated enough to get you back to your higher priority actions, the feedback loop. We just got to be in tune with it. Now, what happens in your brain when you align your life and live congruently with your highest values, and when you spend time in attempting to live in your lower values, when you live accordingly to those high values or top priorities, get this, blood, glucose, and oxygen go to the forebrain, which is the executive center of your brain. So anytime you fill your day with your highest priority actions and do what is most important, what's most meaningful and inspiring, you wake up the part of your brain that involves the inspired vision, the strategic planning, the objectivity, the executive planning center of the brain. And you're also more likely to wake up your leadership capabilities because you'll tend to be more effective and efficient in your actions. And you're going to be more resilient. This is when you're least likely to experience self-doubt. So on the other hand, when you fill your day with low actions, the blood pressure, glucose, and oxygen go to your hindbrain, Okay. So instead of waking up your executive center for inspired vision, you wake up the subcortical brain, which deals with conditioned reflexes and impulses for immediate gratification and avoiding pain. This is somewhat of the things I teach at the summit. The most successful people are those who embrace delayed gratification. So the net effect is you're most likely to try to avoid challenges and seek an easy, less efficient path while also taking on the role of a follower. This is when you're most likely to experience self-doubt. The amygdala is focused on survival instead of thrival. And as such, it wants to avoid difficulties and it's seeking ease. It's avoiding pain, it's seeking pleasure. It's avoiding negative and seeking positive, and it's avoiding predator and seeking prey. It also seeks a one-sided life where there is pleasure without pain, happiness without sadness, positive without negative, peace without conflict, comfort without discomfort. But attempting to achieve a one-sided life is unlikely as achieving a one-sided magnet. There's always two opposite poles. Anytime you expect a one-sided world, guys, you are setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations. It's delusional. It's living in this fantasy world that is going to bring out the other side of you to break your addiction to the one fantasy, to get on with being more wise and more neutrally objective. That too, guys, is a symptom to try to get you back to your highest value where you're being more objective, where you embrace both sides of life and see life as being on the way and not in the way. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you expect them to always be up and always be positive and kind and never criticize, man, you are setting yourself up for loss, for grief, for frustration. And eventually that relationship's going to go in a tank because no one can ever be like that. That's a fantasy one-sided world that just does not exist. Every time you do this, you tend to experience futility, which most often is going to result in feelings of more self-doubt. I can never maintain a relationship, right? I always attract the same type of person. So again, the self-doubt exists to try to get you out of the amygdala and into your executive center so you can crack your fantasy addictions and get back to the reality and a more strategically planned objective. It's a feedback loop. I keep telling you this. It's telling you something. Pay attention to it. Because anytime you're addicted to one side, the other side is always going to come in to balance you. So as such, if you're addicted to the fantasy, you tend to attract the nightmare. If you're addicted to peace, guess what? You're going to get conflict. If you're addicted to the person who's always aggressive, you're going to get peace. Not necessarily a bad thing, but the vice versa can happen as well too. The amygdala is not the gratification center. It's the desire center. What's desire? It's your ambitions. It's your goals. It comes online when you attempt to pursue some form of immediate gratification, like consumerism, addictions, overeating, alcohol, sex, whatever it might be. It's the center of your survival response. So if you want to live in survival, pursue one-sided outcomes. If you want to thrive, embrace the two sides of life. So let me sum it up this way. People who experience self-doubt, who self-depreciate, are more likely, 1, to fantasize about a one-sided life instead of embracing both sides. 2, not to be living by priority, instead attempting to live in their lower values. 3, they activate their amygdala and search for more pleasure pursuits of immediate gratification. 4, they procrastinate, they hesitate, they're frustrated instead of being engaged, inspired, and fulfilled in their life. Now, that doesn't have to be your story, nor does it need to be your journey. I kind of gave you the blueprint. Pay attention in your life. See where this feedback loop is occurring because it's crying out for the opposite. We need to shift from the amygdala into the executive center of the brain, which is fueling us. This is why time seems to fly by, why we're experiencing so much joy and gratification when doing these activities. Because the oxygen and sugar in the blood supply goes to the executive center of the brain, and we become more effective and efficient and productive in things that we do. That's why spending a majority of your time in your highest priority values is the key to your ultimate success. And as I mentioned earlier, with purpose is not pursuing happiness. Purpose is finding the things that you enjoy doing the most, and particularly serving others, and happiness finds you. So I hope you find this episode really helpful. There are a lot of people out there struggling with self-doubt. So all I ask of you is share this information. I always say great content should not flow to us. It should flow through us. Who do you know who's struggling? Maybe this can inspire them. Maybe this can give them a different perspective, look at life in a way they hadn't conceived before, and it could put them on a path, a completely different path, and you can be the one who inspired them. How cool is that? So again, I mentioned the GPS to Success Summit, November 8th and 9th. Love for you to join us. Go to powerpassionprosperity.com, hit the shop button. First tab that drops is 2024 Summit. Join us. If you're really serious about growth in 25, and I don't care what area of life it is, you need to be there. Be submerged with our team, this incredible content. You're going to leave with an action plan, a book in your hand of the steps you need to take in 2025. And you're not going to be distracted. You're going to know your highest priorities. You're going to know what you need to spend a majority of your time on. You're going to know how to overcome these values. In particular, one of the cool things I'm excited about this particular event that I haven't done before is unleashing your inner superhero. This is a really cool presentation I'm putting together that is, each one of us has unique talents and gifts. Call it a superhero. It sounds cool as a title, but they exist within each of us. I'm going to show you how to tap into yours. I'm going to show you how to make that a part of your daily life, how you can embrace it, know what it looks like, know what it feels like, what triggers it, and how to stay in those moments of impact to be able to act and react in a way that's going to create positive outcomes for you, whether it's at home, at the office, in your business, with your fitness. It doesn't really matter. You're going to have the tools necessary that perhaps you've never had before. And I'm excited to bring it to you. So join us. GPS to Success 2024, November 8th and 9th. All right, Triple B Nation. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy week to join me. And as I always say, you be you. Just be the best you. And I promise you will always empower your dreams, ignite your passion, and accelerate your prosperity. Until next week, guys, be well.